Um,
Hello.
hello, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm okay. I mean, I'm just down in my parents' flat at the moment.
Oh, where's
I'm
that?
like, down in Plymouth.
Oh,
Um,
gosh.
yeah, so it's like kind of I'm like going on a family holiday with them tomorrow. So we're
Oh,
going down to a place called Trianon Bay,
nice. I haven't
which
heard of
is
it.
it's just like it's about like 9 miles outside of Padstow, so it's like North Cornwall.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Oh, it's beautiful. This place which I used to go to which I used to go to when I was really young. So it's like old family holidays. So we're going
Yeah.
into like the exactly same cottage as well.
Really? Oh, that would be
Yeah.
lovely.
So I haven't been there. I mean, I haven't been there in over 20 odd years.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I mean, I even remember like I had my fourth birthday down there, sort of thing.
It's probably going to seem a lot smaller.
Probably, especially given how much bigger I've got as well.
Exactly. You're going to be like, this place was definitely bigger when I was younger.
Yeah, exactly. Well, to be honest, that's probably some grown quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah. So
But how
how's
have you
how's
been?
how's lockdown been for you then? All right?
It's up and down.
Yeah.
So I think that it's been up and down for a lot of people. I think that I mean, for me, it's like it's great. So I've got had the opportunity to do things like this, which I would say thank you for agreeing to do this so last minute.
Oh, it's fine, fine. Sybil was like, "Are you free?" I'm like, "Yes." I've got nothing else on at the moment. No venue to run.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think it's been like up and down for a lot of people because obviously with like the live events industry, it's
Yeah,
been like kind of I don't know. It's really weird because we're all on a bit on tenterhooks really to
yeah.
see what we can do
Especially like
next.
today, they just announced, didn't they, that events can happen now in
Yeah,
socially distanced events can happen in grassroots music venues. And I've just done an interview for BBC Surrey, and I just was
yeah.
like, "That's great, but it doesn't really affect us that much because we
No,
can't do socially distanced gigs." So
yeah.
yeah, I was like proper looked like a like I was being a downer on the whole thing, but I was like it just
But
doesn't make any difference to us.
it's the reality. Like a lot of the smaller venues you can't because of there's no ways, especially like because there's no ways that people can even make it financial sense, or people can even like it makes it yeah it does make it really excluding in some ways.
Yeah, I think for me as well, I just feel really powerless. Like
Yeah,
I've always been really felt very much in charge of my destiny in the venue. I fought for that place, like
oh man, it's a great venue as well.
yeah, blood, sweat, and tears. I've fought for it for 15 years, and now it's like it's like completely out of my hands, and I've got like massive FOMO because loads of pubs are opening,
Yeah,
and it's really tough. It's like maybe we should try and open as a pub. Maybe
yeah,
everyone else is opening. Should we open? And then I have this like thing of like actually no, it's not. That's not what we do, and people won't
no,
come to the Boileroom unless we're doing what we do, which is
yeah,
putting on awesome shows.
yeah. And I think that's one of the things which I felt when I walked in there. I mean, 'cause I came for like the Independent Venue Week tour, which was such a fun night.
It was good,
You know,
wasn't
that took me like about 2 or 3 hours to calm down afterwards.
it? Did it? Well, I'm exactly the same. When I work to show, if I work and come home, I'm just like buzzing. It takes me ages just to kind of like, I did a live stream for Guildford Jazz in the venue on Wednesday. Was it
Yeah,
Wednesday night? And that was really good because it was kind of like being at work, but because we still had the band loading in and we were streaming it. But yeah, it was really nice to come back late at night and have that feeling of like, oh, I've been working, I've been moving stuff around
yeah,
and, having a performance. And yeah, it was good. And it's something we wouldn't necessarily normally have. So it was
yeah.
good, it was all right.
But also, you got the rarity of seeing me stage dive.
Yeah, that's true.
I think
Yeah.
the amount of people to the backs I put out in that one moment was probably quite a few.
Didn't we?
I could feel like a collective gasp when I was like climbing up into the back.
Didn't we jump up there together?
What's that?
Didn't we get on the
And
barrier together. Oh, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, it was like, yeah. I think you went first because, like, because of my dyspraxia, then I find it difficult, climbing up onto things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, I remember I had to have, like, the security guard literally, like, almost hold me up.
Amazing.
Hold me up onto the almost hold me up into the barrier. And then, like, kind of, you could see the look, because there was a kid who also dived. He literally went up and sprang right in between us. And then, like, you see everyone just going, no. Him. Literally, kind of like, everyone just, like, could have been dragged in together.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I remember because you stood on the barrier and I was like, I don't know if he's actually going to fit when he's standing on the barrier. You're so tall. And I was like, his head's going to hit the ceiling. But yeah, I remember that. It was awesome. It was a great show, wasn't it?
But that's the thing, is that those are the only kind of things which can happen in those small venues, seeing stuff like that and seeing stuff. I mean, from my point of view, was it Georgina, the girl who came up and read your poem?
Yes.
I thought that was really touching.
Yeah. Oh God, it made me teary just thinking about it. Yeah. It was, her name's Jordan actually, and she when she first started working at the venue, suffered with really severe anxiety, and she has been with us and started out just working on the door, working on the box office, and she felt really comfortable because it's quite a small space, and we would stand like someone on the other side until she was kind of comfortable enough to not need us there. And then from there she progressed to working on the bar, and then from there she actually, when I said about for Independent Venue Week doing the poem, she was like, oh, I'd love to read it out. Oh, thanks. Look who's here. Look who's just giving me a drink. Say hi.
Hey Jeff, how you doing?
Hello, buddy. How you doing?
Nice to see you. Beard's looking strong.
You too, buddy. I know. I'm starting to look like a kind of Wurzel Gummidge. I have to get the clip out before too long. So actually, to give it a bit of a shouldering.
That's a good word. Shouldering.
He's just come back from the studio.
Yeah.
Just been in the studio for a few weeks.
How's the studio coming on?
Fun. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. There was a swimming pool at the studio, cool. in the heat to keep things going.
Yeah, oh man, the heat. Yes, I mean, like, I felt like as if I was turning into a dead whelk the other day, just because of like that sort of thing where you're sweating before you even start breathing.
Yeah.
So I was literally, I was getting to the point where I was in my own flat and I was literally lying in pools of sweat. It was just like
my permanent state.
I was like, this is not good. I do not like this. This is not what I want from life.
Something for your art.
I wouldn't mind it if it was. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind it if it was because of like, going to being a really lively show, for instance. Like I've done some exertion to kind of expect that sort of thing, or like, but whereas like when you're just waking up and you're not even physically moving, and you're just like, oh, I'm drained already. It's like, kill me now.
Can you imagine if we had live shows though during this heat wave? Can you imagine how hot they would have been? Oh my gosh. We were saying at the venue, we were like, oh, it would have been so brutal for anyone coming to a show in this heat. It would have been, wouldn't it?
It was a bit like last summer, because last summer we forget about actually how hot that was. Because last summer, like, I remember like kind of going to stand in cooling and it was like 41 degrees. Like, it took me 3 hours to set up my tent because I spent more time actually staring at the tent than actually putting it up. Because I was just like,
I don't know. Is that better than like when it's pissing down with rain and you're trying to put up the tent, like Truck Fest, when you refuse to get out of the car?
Oh god, is it that bad?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a pretty dark moment in my personal history because Paul, I didn't want to get out of the car because it was pissing with rain, and then this other woman who walked past kindly offered to help Paul put the tent up. And I was sitting in the car. And then afterwards, I was like, why are you talking to that girl? Why are you putting up? I mean, this was a long time ago, Paul. This was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's fair enough. To be honest, that is 10 years ago.
Great, thanks. Thanks, I'm really glad everyone's going to know that time.
Sorry, I couldn't. Sorry.
Not you, him.
Well, actually, to be honest, I think the most insane wet festival I've experienced was Festival 2008.
Really?
Basically, they nearly had to call the whole festival off within about an hour because of the whole festival site was sinking.
Shit.
So they had to cut off, like after dark, they had to cut off, like the BBC stage because of like they couldn't necessarily see where the puddles were.
Oh my god.
Like the electrics.
Yeah.
But as much of a stress as that was, I still have fond memories from that year. Because
I think it's like a real, like it shows our kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember the word. To like just get through stuff, don't we? Like the amount that gets thrown at us when we go to festivals. Like I've been to them where I've been soaked through to my bones and I've been freezing. I remember like WOMAD one year and I was so cold, but still standing there like, yay, this is great. And being like,
was that the one? I'm just trying to think of who headlined that year. Was that like? So I remember there was one year which I went where it's like absolutely tipped it down the entire weekend.
Oh my gosh! I took we've got a daughter and I took her with us and she was just looking at me like eating something and I just remember the thing that she was eating out of was just soaking wet and all of her food was soaking wet and she was looking at me like, Mum. Like I was like, sorry, but we had a great time. We danced, made up for it.
That's the best attitude to have, really, isn't it?
Yeah. As soon as you get dancing, you know, just jump around. It's when you stand still, I think, that's when you feel the like cold or the that stuff.
The reason why I brought up festival is because also it experienced one of the loudest headline sets I've ever seen in my entire life, which was My Bloody Valentine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
really?
And they were allowed to go as loud as they wanted.
Oh my gosh, I wonder what dB it was. I'd love to know.
Oh god, it was basically like, well, they used to say that when festival was on, you could actually hear the bass over in Southampton.
Shit, really? Oh my god. I
bet basically you could actually see the ground shaking. You could feel like literally the noise traveling up your trousers and actually I swear it did actually physically lift me in the air.
Was it like, it wasn't like, they say there's that note, isn't it? That grabs hold of your bowels and like, you're inside. That's insane. I mean, I remember when we've been away on tour with Paul, where like in Switzerland and places, and the limit is like 96 dB, you have to always be mindful of that, but to be able to be somewhere and just be like, go for it, be as loud as you want. That's insane. I bet that was like, what?
It was basically like, the way I put it is that there's more noise coming off their backline than there was coming through the PA. Because they actually had the drum kit encased in a wall of glass. So to stop the feedback from hitting the mics on the drums.
Wow.
And so I think there's only two things going through the PA system, which were the drums and the vocals.
Wow.
The rest of it was just like, you're just like staring at these huge stacks and just like going like, oh my frick, this is literally kind of like I think I lost kind of like, it was that sort of thing where I did end up actually being strangely quite warm because I lost all sense of feeling. but then also kind of like being so thrilled because I did like they very famously do a distortion solo called The Holocaust.
Yeah.
Which is on the Loveless record. Yeah. Which on the record's about a minute long. But when they play it live, they were making it last for like 15, 16 minutes.
What? That's insane. At that like level as well. Oh my gosh.
It was like they start off loud and they were getting louder, 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 louder.
Were you at the front then? Were you right down by the speakers?
I was near the front. I mean, so also folds were on beforehand.
Oh really? Oh cool.
Yeah, and I think even they were commenting about how heavily it was raining. So it was like, like kind of raindrops, like hailstones.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that. But,
So when you're at festivals, do you just go for the full wetsuit kind of? Or do you just like, okay,
I always take, I mean, like, wherever I go, I always take my waterproof.
Yeah.
No matter whatever the weather. It's like, not just festivals, even when I'm going out for walks across town, or when I'm going across, for like dog walks and that sort of thing, I always take it with me. It's like my safety blanket.
It's always prepared.
Well, yeah, I think it's that, but I think it's also, it's like, like kind of Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah.
Like Calvin always has to have his protective blanket sort of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
So it does give me like that as well.
Yeah, it's your comfort blanket.
Yeah, so it's like if I get really anxious, I start fidgeting with it.
Oh, really? So it's actually like something that helps you to like stay calm then?
Well, I think it is. I think it is very much like a safety thing. Cause otherwise I wouldn't bother taking it out for most of the summer.
Yeah.
Because like you'll see me literally in the world's most hottest room with my like kind of waterproof tucked under my arm, and people will be like, "Why the hell have you brought that out? There won't be a single cloud in the sky, sort of thing." And I'll be like, "Well, it's partly, my security thing."
Yeah.
It's like if people would probably think of like an image of me, they probably would see me there with my arm tucked, and then sometimes with like a bag of croissants or something, which I've half-inched from Tesco's.
You need to do one of your portraits of you with your Mac.
Yeah, actually, I've got it. I've got it. I think it's in the other room. Otherwise, I'd show you my Mac.
Yeah.
I can actually show you something else because I think you saw my waistcoat, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah, I think I have. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got my waistcoat with me.
Oh yes, I have seen that. Yes,
Yeah, man. Yeah, I decided to bring it down because it's my mum's birthday yesterday.
Oh, lovely. What did you do? Just hang out at the house? Did you have like?
No, we went over to, there's a place just over the river called Mount Edgecombe.
Mm.
So we went over to one of the beaches and had a bit of a beach fire and a tiny bit of a cookout.
Oh, amazing.
Whilst I was like kind of trying not to pass out from the extremity of the humidity.
Yeah.
It's still really humid.
It was like tropical. I've been to places like Thailand and I was like, this is like being in a tropical heat. It's been so, our dog has been like really suffering, really just like, so I've been taking her out really early in the morning or really late at night. But yeah, it seems to like have eased a little bit now. But I've just been away as well, being by the beach. I just love it. Being by the sea I find it like so therapeutic. I love it.
I think the thing is because it takes you out of I think it makes you reassess your surroundings.
Yeah.
I think to a certain extent, and also sometimes we need a change. Just because otherwise we get stuck so much in a monotony.
Yeah. But I also think it helps to readdress the balance of actually like how expansive the sea is, that like water is, and like how tiny we are. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, no, it just makes me go, even if I've got loads of problems, if I go down to the sea, I just feel like it totally like washes away some of that worry that I get, because I'm like, wow, look how big the sea is.
Yeah. And the other thing is also that I guess it's something which also I've been thinking about since the lockdown has actually been like how much nature still controls us.
Mm-hmm.
We can say that we have our own destiny. We do to a certain point.
Yeah.
But also, nature will always find a way of, overpowering us in some way, whether it's through like the COVID emergency or whether it's through like kind of, because one of the things which I admittedly liked during the lockdown was actually seeing a lot more nature.
Yeah.
Coming back. You know.
Me too, actually. I really enjoyed the silence outside as well, like the lack of sound. I didn't realise like how much my life is filled with noise. And most of the time, it's music noise that I love, but actually just general noise, and to not have planes going over and loads and loads of cars, and like I said, hearing birds that maybe I hadn't really noticed so much before. It's yeah, and like you said, I think you realise that our time is just like fleeting, you know. And actually, God, we get so fucking bogged down, don't we, in the day-to-day stuff that we do, that sometimes we forget that actually we should just enjoy the journey a bit, you know. Just, you know, however that enjoyment looks, just enjoy it for what it is.
And also, I think it's like kind of teaching us to maybe celebrate our achievements more.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, the fact that, you know, like, if this just happened 10 years ago, I would not be as able to deal with it in the way in which I actually have, you know. And even though, you know, we've all been through ups and downs and like struggles over the past few weeks, but I think that in having like this technology, it means I could speak to you and see your face.
Yeah.
And actually, I know this is going to sound like a big thing. I'm on Twitter quite a lot. I actually really struggle with a lot of non-face-to-face communication. So even making phone calls and stuff like that, I find like really daunting.
Yeah. It's really interesting that you say that, because right at the beginning of lockdown, I was terrified of Zoom, like terrified of having to have a conversation with someone, because you're not right next to them. When you're next to someone, you can pick up on things that they, you know, it's easy, you know, when the break is in the conversation, when you're going to speak and when they speak. But like Zoom, you're like you know, if you get like a delay or like something happens and I'm like, I don't know when to speak. and over the lockdown period, I've gotten better. But yeah, my friends initially were like, where have you gone? Like, come and jump on the Zoom call. And I was like, no fucking way. I don't want to talk to anyone. And now I do like bloody 80s aerobic dance classes with my friend Lena May Lenman. You know Jamie Lenman, his wife does these amazing, like, awesome aerobics classes on Zoom, and now I'm like, yeah, bring on the music. And I love it, and it keeps me like really happy. So I really understand that like, not that fear. I really empathize with you on that. It's really I could see how it could be a real struggle, and how actually this helps.
Yeah, I mean, like, also, like, for me, like, this helped give me a little bit of structure.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously doing this, but then also, like on every Monday morning, I've got a friend of mine who's a part of the AF gang, who's a professional model, and so she does life drawing. So it's like every Monday morning, so like I'll be drawing her from like different poses.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, over Zoom. Because she literally just like kind of, she'd do like sometimes 2 or 3 poses a session sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's because of like, it's got like the regular time. So it's like, right, okay, we regularly do this. And then regularly on Tuesday afternoons, I've been having Zoom meetings with my art groups, and like, which has really helped me as well.
Yeah.
Because I found that, having those interactions, they do put me in a positive spin.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes, and I know that we can all be a little harsh on ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but it's also reminded me of, like, you know, the importance of things like music communities as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I must admit that even though it hasn't been ideal, like actually having live stream gigs has really helped me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, to kind of sometimes get through things, because then, like, because for instance, like sometimes I'll be taking like my phone out on walks, and I'd be literally live streaming a show, which would soundtrack my walk.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten well into podcasts. Love listening to podcasts, and the same actually. I think knowing that everyone's kind of come together during this time, if you're within a creative community, that you can just reach out, and like you said, you can do drawing classes, or I got really there's this thing called it's a women's group in Margate, and they put a series of talks on over the week. I think it's called POW, and it was really interesting, and it was a Zoom thing, and I sat and I listened, and I felt like actually one of the big things for me also is like being able to read more. Like I've really managed to I feel like I've joined a book club, so there's a book club like online, or Zoom book club, and being able to read, to have that little bit of space to absorb a bit more information is like that I'm like learning a bit more as well, and I quite enjoy being able to have that bit of space I never normally have. I can never normally read. I normally fall asleep within like 5 words.
I struggle with reading a lot because like I think it's partly having a very cinematic memory, and sometimes when you see like a big book, it feels very weighty.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like sometimes I'll find myself accidentally rereading the same pages over and over and over again. I'll just end up getting kind of lost in it.
Yeah.
Not lost in a good way.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's the reason why probably I watch more films than I actually read books, because of like I understand it more, or I pick up more information. Probably either that or from hearing other people reading the stories.
Yeah. So what films have you seen any like awesome films during and I love a film too, like Paula and I.
My favourite, and it's partly because I know the guy who wrote the original graphic novel that it's based on, is Days of Bagnall Summer.
Oh, Days of Bagnall Summer, yeah, we love that. I love that.
I'm good friends with Geoff Winterhart, who wrote...
Hang on a minute, where is it?
It's by the speakers.
Hang on.
Yay! You got Geoff's books.
Yes!
I know Geoff. I'm really good friends with him.
Oh,
He's
really?
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. And I thought the film was really good actually as well. Did you? I thought like the guy who played the kid.
Nick Cave's son.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There you go. I'll put that back in there.
No, I loved it. So I also know the kind of, because he's someone who's really involved in the Bristol scene. Like he used to play drums in one of my favourite kind of comic punk duos called Bucky.
Okay.
And he's amazing. So basically all of his family, apart from his mum, are drummers. Because his brother's like the drummer for Cooler Shaker, or was. And then like he comes from like kind of, so like more like kind of Glastonbury area.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So he's like kind of quite well, I guess, comes from relatively well-off background, but he's just such a sweethearted person. Like, cause I've made several films with him as well.
Wow.
But what makes it even more amazing is that he's a one-armed drummer.
Really?
So, yeah, he's born with that right hand. So everything that he does, and the other thing that he does is that I used to see him at shows, but he would turn up with a sketchbook and he'd be drawing everyone.
Okay.
He literally, like sometimes in about 10 seconds, he would draw the entire band and the entire audience.
Amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah, but I also know the kind of the guy who the Daniel Bagnall character is also based on.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. So whenever I watch the film, like I watch it with the parents, it's like, yep, I know exactly.
You know that?
Yep, the guy who's kind of like that's kind of based on. Yep, he would say exactly that. I mean, like
different perspective on that film.
Well, yeah, kind of like. Because also, like when I see the drawings, because it is exactly the person, like when he used to have long hair.
Yeah.
He's like kind of. He's like that guy called like Matt Loveridge, who's a bit of a kind of like, shall we say, kind of like prodigy genius.
Yeah. Sort
of thing. As if in like he could play multiple different instruments, and creates. He can even read, I think, in Chinese scales, sort of thing.
Oh,
because Yeah, because he's like, when I say that, he does basically like, kind of like really extreme electronica in some ways.
Okay.
Or that can be very experimental kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What's his setup then? What kind of stuff, like electronic?
Well, he currently releases stuff by the MXLX, and he used to play in a band called Beak. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like zzz, like lots of odd things. You know about that stuff, don't you, Paul? Paul literally, he looks at like, he's probably doing it now. He's sitting over there, probably looking at synth YouTube.
Porn.
Like, yeah, synth porn. Basically, you said it, synth porn. So I'll be like, what are you doing? And I'll hear a noise of just like, what is that? And he's like, oh, it's a something 29B52, like 50 thing. I'm like, great, so interesting.
Yeah, but that reminds me of someone else I know who's exactly like that, which is Steve Davis, of all people.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
6-time snooker champion Steve Davis.
I was going to say, is it the person?
Yes.
Yes,
he's a massive synth music nerd. I mean, he's a massive prog head, for instance. Like,
I did not know that. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
Well, he's released actually he's part of a band called the Utopia Strong.
Yeah.
He released albums on like Rocket Records, which is like a really psychedelic label.
Yeah.
So like, and then like he's also done stuff because he DJs a lot as well with like Kavis Tarabai, which I've seen, which is like possibly one of the most fun DJ sets I've seen in a while with Steve Davis.
Yeah, I bet.
Like, kind of like, I remember one year kind of at Green Man Festival. This was.
Yeah.
I was watching DJ Yoda's DJ set, who was really, really good. But after a while, I was like, I fancy something a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so I remember stumbling across and hearing this really loud, intense krautrock kind of coming up from this tent up on the hill. I was like, oh, what's going on over here? Like, so I remember entering, kind of going, this is freaking amazing stuff that they're playing. And I got a tap on the shoulder for someone and said, it's Steve Davis.
Davis, amazing! Wow, I'm gonna YouTube Steve Davis DJing after we finish our conversation.
Because I literally like, I find myself like kind of blinking and staring and go, is it really? That is like, holy fuck, yes, it really is Steve Davis.
Oh my gosh! And you say about Green Man, I love Green Man Festival. It's
it's brilliant.
Been the last few years, and yeah, I really like Paul and I really enjoy it. Who did we see there last year? It was like the year before. Richard Thompson, wasn't it?
Yes.
Richard Thompson.
Richard Thompson, he's a legend.
And who was the other guy that you really liked that was doing singing in like Cornish, in the Cornish band that you were like really liked? Oh, come on, Paul. You remember?
Gweno.
Is it Gwen? Yes, was it? Yeah, it was Gweno. What's the other band that the guy's in as well? Or the main?
God. Can't remember. But no, Gweno's done. Is in whenever people think of like Cornish language, she actually saved the Cornish language with that record.
Yes, yeah, I love them, and obviously we saw Idols last year. They played. We saw the guys, and Amadou and Miriam as well. Big for me. I was like really wanted to see them. I was down the front, like.
That's fair enough. I think I missed them because I think that because obviously they had to reschedule their set because they couldn't get in because of having issues with the flights.
Yes,
I think I ended up clashing with something else which I already had in my program. Yeah. And I'm very much, like when I get things fixed in, it's like I've got to go and see them. Yeah. I've got to go and see this. I mean, like, so like, I feel really lucky because I've got the flukiest gig at Green Man because I DJ in between the bands.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah.
And so I get to watch everyone from loads of people from the side of the stage.
Yes.
But then also, it gives me a thrill because that means I can cheer them on.
Yeah.
And then like I was like last year, there's several moments when I found myself being like kind of, and I think it's only the power of what live music can bring, like an audience can do. Is actually I found myself getting really overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I remember seeing Say See Me, who are like a South Korean shoegaze indie rock band, and like seeing them just like in between songs, just turning around, just go, "Wow, we weren't expecting this reaction."
Yeah, yeah.
And just like, and not all like even like having someone like James Heather, who's like this phenomenal classical pianist, opening up on Sunday, and I think that I remember he gave me both him and Idols gave me really, really overly flattering shout-outs.
I did that amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I
I
love.
remember trying to hide behind the records during Idols, going like, because he dedicated a love song, he changed all the lyrics to me, like.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's good. I have to. I remember when they did when they played in Kingston and they sang happy. They got me up on stage and sang "Happy Birthday" to me, and then
Wow.
and then I crowd stage dive, didn't I, into the crowd. I'd had a couple of drinks, and that was pretty cool. That was really good. I love that. That was great. But yeah, I love Green Man. I can't wait to get back to festivals. Hopefully this year. Because I think
that's the thing is, because I think that having this time off has really made me realise how much, I guess, that I semi-depend on them, because of like how much, as well as having, you know, venues that they do provide comfort zones.
Yeah.
I mean, I have also had issues where I've also had you know, anxiety issues at festivals. Sometimes, like the worst one which I had, and last actually probably major anxiety attack I actually had was actually at WOMAD 2016. And the thing is, partly because they completely changed the site layout.
Oh, really?
And made it really claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Like around the main area. And that also happened to be, I think that the more I think about it, that sometimes certain, this is going to sound like theoretical, that certain events are connected, but that was Charles Bradley's last ever UK gig. Was that WOMAD? Was that day?
We were there. We were there, weren't we, Paul? Yeah. We were there. Yeah.
Yeah, so someone took a photograph of me hugging him.
What?
Yeah, so there was like, so the very next day, well, literally, I think it was almost immediately after the show, he collapsed.
What?
And so that was the last time that he ever played in the UK, was that gig.
Wow.
I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I remember like really late like that night having a really bad anxiety kind of issue, which took me like 7 or 8 hours to calm down from.
Is it the people there that creates it, or is it the like the atmosphere and music and like over sensory? Because I sometimes, if I'm stuck in a sea of people and I can't see a way out, I have to like get out. And Paul's
it's very much that. It's pretty much
like I can't see the end of where the people stop, and I'm like, because I'm quite small. When I'm not quite small, I'm medium average height, and so I always like to be like near the edge, so I can just, if I need to just like go that way, I can, you know, just like step 2 steps, and I'm like, it's okay.
But I found, I think with me, I think sometimes it's when you feel like as if you can't move.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, especially, and also sometimes it's like inadvertently getting high off people's secondhand like dope smoke, especially late at night.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really sparked it off, was maybe all those things together.
Yeah. And I mean, I have to say, you do so well, like at shows. I always see you at the front, like at the front of shows, and I'm always, I think you're really inspiring, especially for people like me sometimes, who I like do struggle sometimes in, you know, that's why I think I got into almost facilitating shows, because I'm on the other side. So I still get to see the bands and stuff, but I get to be on the other side of the barrier where I'm like, I know I'm okay here. But I think it's really inspiring when I see you at the front, and like, it's great. It's great that you do that and overcome that to you know, I think it's really amazing.
But I think also partly that is partly because of the way which I put it in 2 words, space. Sometimes you've actually got more space down the front and more time to adjust to space.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes, especially if I'm coming to like a new venue, usually, but apart from like the Boileroom, partly because of being slightly driven around by Sybil, and also the fact that I was absolutely dying, because I was literally like I looked as if I was being held together by bits of duct tape. I think it's about like sort of getting used to your environments.
Yeah.
And then if you give yourself time to, then like I'll find myself, if I'm nervous, I'll find myself actually talking just to random people.
Great.
And then sometimes you'll find yourself like kind of having a conversation, and next thing you know, oh look, you're friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And I think that also that quite often what I do is that, you know, especially with places like the Louisiana, for instance, Bristol, they actually really helped me out, because actually I think it was one of their door staff was one of the first people which I kind of became friends with outside of college.
Yeah.
Really, because of I'd regularly see him and I'd recognise his face. And then like it's through persistently seeing that face and then him persistently talking to me, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
well, I think it's so important that venues and their crews do that, you know, that we have a responsibility to make music accessible, shows accessible to people. And it's like when you do that and you're making sure you're checking people are okay, especially, I get it, like massive shows, it's a lot harder to do, but you know, in places like the Louisiana and the Boileroom, we're small enough that I can stand on the door when people are coming in and I can say hi to everyone that comes in the venue, and you know, we can identify.
That's really welcoming as well. From my perspective, that's a really beautiful thing, because of like I walked in there and I instantly felt love. I felt the warmth. I felt, you know, like as if in, you know, it might have been also partly so caffeinated from the Coca-Cola and all some of the coffee which I'd had earlier, but you generally did feel, but you generally did feel like as if in, like when I got taken on the Whistle Stop tour of like upstairs with all the studios and stuff, and it was like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
well, it's like stepping into our front room. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're coming to our house, really. The Boileroom is like made up, really, of the people that are part of it. It's like it would be super like ego of me to be like, oh, the Boileroom's about me, but it's not at all. Maybe at the beginning when I first set it up, but it's totally owned by every person that works there, that performs there, that goes there. It's like, I feel, without sounding super cheesy, I feel like just as honoured to be part of that space. And sometimes I use it, like I go there when I feel shit, I go there when I'm really happy. I've had some of the best experiences and some of the hardest times of my life. You know, I've had the Boileroom as long as I've known Paul, you know, like, isn't it 15 years? So he's been there, he's like done, like looked after the door for me, he's worked on the, you know, he haven't actually worked on the bar. Paul's had to do this. Paul's had to do the sound. He's like picked up artists from the station for me. He you know, he goes home and gets me stuff or brings stuff down when I forget stuff and brings me dinner, and we're all like, it's just like a family. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's just, you know, and I bet the Louisiana is exactly, well, I know it.
Pretty much.
Exactly the same, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like whenever I kind of go in there, I do get, I mean, all like some of the other venues in Bristol, I do get treated with too much respect in some ways. It's almost like it's almost like if I kind of turn up and they just like almost wave me in, like as if I'm some sort of like oak furnished deck chair or something. You know, kind of like, it's like, you do send me laugh, but I think it's also that you know, and also that a lot of these rooms do provide actually access to people, you know, to live music, and also that, you know, like I did a chat, like I got asked to design a T-shirt for the Exchange to help them with their like kind of fundraising sort of thing. I basically did a T-shirt of my wrist.
Amazing.
Like kind of, because quite often what bands see is quite often they'll see me fist pumping the air. You know, like kind of, it'll be partly to like the utter jubilation and like the joy of like wanting to share something and wanting to share love. As well. And so I thought, right, what do people see quite often? My wristbands.
Well, I've got to say, it's like fans like you that keep venues like the Exchange in Louisiana, Boileroom, and also not just venues, bands. It feeds it. You know, we're like an ecosystem. It's like the one thing that's kept us going at the Boileroom is when we launched our crowdfunder is people giving us support and being like, I did this at the Boileroom. I like, you know, we had like a lad give his £1 pocket money to the crowdfunder. You know, we have people who are just like you are, like you say about Louisiana, like the first person I met, from college who helped me, you know, with going to live shows or, you know, all sorts of stories. And you feel this like real sense of, it's like a security blanket, like you're saying about, you know, it's like, oh wow, it is worthwhile, you know, because sometimes like you said with the ups and the downs, it can feel a bit like maybe I could just close it and have an easier life. But
then also I think that actually in having these places, I mean, for me, they provided, whether they know it or not, like a lot of actually mental health support in many ways, because of being able to find ways to like, I guess, be around people.
Yeah. And
if it wasn't for like, you know, for these communities, I could not be the person which I am. I could not be, you know, as, I guess, emotionally connected or emotionally open as well.
Yeah.
And sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, like, with like also, I think people like Tracy and Safe Gigs for Women. And I was going to mention, like, you know, seeing charities like that have come about because of like the spaces and what we do, and you know, seeing Tracy's journey of like starting out at say, like, you know, and seeing her at the Boileroom to now seeing her like at festivals, and not even just her, but you know, seeing like the team and it's like, yes, that's what those spaces like produce, is people feel confident enough to be able to say, I want, you know, I want to do this now, you know, and I just think that's awesome.
And also how they do, for me, they really do embrace like local characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's people that you'll meet at certain venues that will never go anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes that with the bigger venues you lack that. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why probably most of my favourite shows, apart from David Byrne, you know, and maybe Nick Cave, you know, I'd say that pretty much all the best shows I've been to have been in like capacities of about maybe 200.
Yeah,
even less than that.
I agree with you. Actually, I love that size show. I really, it's definitely my favorite. Definitely my favorite when I think back of some of the shows. It's a great cap, and people come out like having had a cathartic experience. When I stand on the door and we open the doors and we're like boom, and everyone like goes out, people are just like, oh my god, thank you so much, that was amazing. You know, they're just like, nothing, Frida.
I think that's the thing. I said that also like must make what you do like even more valuable.
Yeah.
Even though like some people don't always realise it, I think there is actually a lot more. I mean, like, I think that there's a lot more like emotional value, and that maybe we should be kind of like valuing it a lot more in that sense.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we definitely see a lot of people that come through the venue that I've known over the past 15 years, and like our regulars, I'll know their drinks, you know, they can't be like, you're all right, mate, and I see them at shows and you staring, you want a pint of this, or you having this tonight, or whatever. And the bar team are the same, and some of those people I've seen them on a journey. I've seen them from the beginning to maybe where they are now, and they make friends with other people in the venue, or they've become more confident, or they, you know, I actually sometimes like just going to shows on my own. I go to festivals on my own too.
Same here.
You know, because I feel confident because you, by and large, most of the time, you know you're in a fairly safe community, you know, and I know there are exceptions, there always are, but by and large, you know, I'd like to think people come in the Boileroom, and if there's like a challenge or a problem, they feel like they can come talk to us, and we'll do our best to to sort something out. And I think you're right. I think there's a value to the personal development that happens connected with live music and grassroots music venues, for sure. You know,
and also the other thing for me is also a lot of them allow artists who are more challenging to give them a stage as well.
Yeah,
I think like I know I've brought this woman up a few times because she's someone that I do really, really love and respect. Is a woman called More Mother, and she does like industrial, really intense industrial hip hop. But it's like you can never get that in like a big academy venue because of the way that she performs. Because she's done stuff with like The Bug, for instance, and like a lot of her stuff lyrically is very challenging. So we'll deal with like obviously racism and sexism and like kind of in a very like kind of quite hardcore in your face manner.
Yeah.
And but you can never, but that kind of show wouldn't be allowed to happen at, you know, a bigger venue, because I feel that partly because I think that it's quite a niche audience that it appeals to, but also I think partly because it feels like different like shows at the bigger venues have to be safer.
Yeah. Maybe the bookings in larger spaces are a bit more, have a bit more of a, like you said, they go for safe options. I think one of the frustrating things is we used to be able to book, say, 2 supports before, and now it's kind of like, especially when you get touring bands, they might have a tour support, and you'll be lucky, and you will be lucky if we get to book in 1 act.
Yeah,
we've seen that sort of slightly decline in the last few years, and I kind of, that I find a bit frustrating sometimes. I know Lydia does. Lyd's the booker at the venue, where she's like, I really want to get 2 bands on this, so we have a 4-band bill. Yeah. You know, because we have so much kind of good local stuff going on.
It also gives people a foot up as well.
Yeah.
It can give people access to the stage, and actually that's the most important thing, is actually, you know, giving also people the experience.
Totally. And cutting their teeth, like you said, like the bands that we've already talked about, like obviously we talk about Idols, you know, the first time when they were working with Paul, the first time they played, they were first on at the Boileroom.
Yeah.
And first on, and they like Bristol band, no one really knew. They probably played to like 15 people. Like fast forward maybe 3 or 4 years, and they sell out the venue in, you know, a few minutes.
Nanoseconds. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because I'm like, obviously, like, I mean, I think I would have seen them like nearly 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing I think it was their second ever show.
Wow.
And it's amazing to see how tight they've grown. Then also the other thing is that it provides, with the smaller venues, that it provides an inway to like the creative industries, to like the music industry. So like I know like my friend Zena, who's like now the head of Partisan, because she was working at the police, and it's like kind of, and I think that sometimes we need to respect the smaller steps.
Yeah, well, it's like you said, it's actually, it's not, you mentioned Zena, it's not just artists as well that music venues develop. We develop people, like they're people that are now the jobs that they're in, having started working at the venue, any venue. I bet if you speak to most people who work in music or creative industry, they will have all had a job at some point in a venue or, you know, art space.
Yeah.
And I definitely could name like 5 people who are either like, you know, either session musicians who are really well-known artists, or they're working as like, you know, big wigs in all various different commercial stuff, or they work for labels, or they're managers, or, you know, it's like your family just gets more and more extended, doesn't it, each time? Yeah. You know, you get a new set of people come in and work.
Sound engineers, lighting techs.
Yeah. Like it's such.
I mean, like some, but then also like if it wasn't for these places, I wouldn't get to meet them as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that I've got so much, you know, to thank them for, really. I think that, I do get a bit emotional when I think about it, and go, oh God, I could lose this. I'm really like, kind of, oh, please don't. It's like, I don't mind if it's, well, even some of the bigger venues like the O2 sort of stuff. I'd really like kind of still slightly sad if that went. Because even though I don't necessarily like the O2 Academy that much as a venue, I know people who are involved in it, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well,
and
we'll come back. I think we will be coming back. I mean, you know, today they've announced obviously that shows can, socially distant shows can happen, but they're talking about the roadmap to kind of full shows. They're talking about the 1st of November or possibly next year. I think once we get the government get their head around this virus.
Yeah, oh god, it's like, oh god, I generally feel like putting a duffel bag over their head. They've got absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Oh my gosh, you're telling me, yeah. I mean,
I think blind mice have probably got more sense than they've got.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, the disparity between the advice and the guidance between different industries is insane, you know. But saying that, I kind of like, I do think we will come back, and we'll come back stronger. And I think, like you said, people will even appreciate their local venue a bit more, you know.
Yeah.
They'll be like, God, yeah, my life is way better with this place in it. And actually, when I'm at home and I'm just about to watch the 10th episode of this series on Netflix, I might actually go to the show that's down the road instead of, you know, watching telly.
You can watch Netflix anytime, but it's like,
exactly.
the thing about like, and I guess the other thing is that, because I used to get like, obviously like, as I brought up, like social anxiety sort of things. But whereas I guess I treated a lot of venues as safe spaces because of like, I knew there'd be structure.
Yeah.
You know that the band would be on, doors would be open this time. You usually see the set times. You go like band on that time, band on that time. Then inevitably you go like, oh, find yourself, as I said, talking to a friendly face.
Yeah.
Or someone who looks kind of friendly.
Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes I've used that as like a kind of disarming technique in my own head.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of thing, going, oh, I'm really, really anxious. And then the next few minutes, be like, all that anxiety's gone. Be like, I guess tried to sum it up on Twitter, but where I'd be like, do I really fit in with this crowd? Do I really fit in with everyone? And afterwards, it'd be like, I love everyone. Everyone's wonderful. This what a beautiful place.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
I've also had it from some shows where I've not been able to sleep afterwards.
Yeah, we're just buzzing on the adrenaline, right? Of just amazing.
Or like, especially if I've seen something which I've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I remember, it's going to be really, really obscure, but there's a industrially hip hop outfit called Dialect.
Okay, yeah.
Like Dialect, but like asterisks above the A.
Yeah.
They're like, I remember like being in my grand's flat in Exeter when I was a bit bored. This is like how many years ago? It's about like the 2003-ish, and I was like on teletext. You know, like when you used to have to look up teletext for like gig listings.
Oh my god!
And it would take 5 pages to get through. I just remember seeing their name and just like going, "Oh look, there's this gig on tonight. Let's take a punt on this, just because I really like the sound of their name, and the support acts names as well, because the support acts were all like kind of post rock, space rock sort of things. But it's like, okay, this is gonna be amazing, like the space rock, post rock show.
Yeah.
And I remember turning up because obviously, like, I didn't know whether the show would be sold out, well, you know, like kind of yada yada, because I didn't think about phoning up the venue. So I probably turned up to the venue about at least half an hour before doors opened. And I remember reading the poster description, which compared them to like Public Enemy, Faust, My Bloody Valentine, and Sonic Youth.
What? That sounds amazing.
They are phenomenal. I mean, like, I literally remember having having like £5 left after the show, and it's a bit like, right, I could go and get a drink of this. No, I'm going straight up to go get their CD.
Oh my god! I was going to say
getting MC Dialect to sign it, and I was physically shaking because of,
wow,
you know, the sort of thing where you are in awe of people, but sometimes you get slightly intimidated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because it was the fact that, I mean, I love hip hop and stuff like that, but it got a lot of the hip hop I was hearing was getting so stuck within the kind of gangster rap sort of thing. I mean, some of it was really good, but then like to hear something like this, which was like taking like the boom back from like Cypress Hill with the noise of like kind of Faust and like kind of doing something which was it was hip hop, but it wasn't doing like the kind of usual hands in the air kind of stuff, and seeing the entire building shake.
Wow.
I was like, yep, I had to listen to that record 5 times over to calm myself down. It's like, I mean, I even tried to rip them off. I tried to, it's like,
I love it. I even tried to rip them off.
Yeah. So like, some people know this, but I had a rap split alter ego for quite a while called Manic F.
Brilliant.
But I was using him to like kind of deal with my own stuff because of like, in my early 20s, I went through like a really harsh period. Like I nearly died. And then I had like kind of like, yeah, I spent 3 days in the coma because of appendicitis operation going really wrong.
Oh my God, that's sad. Oh, I've had my appendix out as well.
Yeah.
And nothing like that. Shit, man.
Yeah, but then also like, it's really hard to explain to people because I was, so basically it's like 2 or 3 things which happened at the same, like within about the space of 4 months.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was in a coma for like 3 days and then in intensive care, which is like, when you're 20 years old, you don't want to be experiencing that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that, because we were living in, like me and my parents, they decided that the house that they had was too big, so they decided to let out half the house to another family who are well loved within the community. And the dad basically collapsed with an aneurysm. You know, like kind of spent 2 weeks in a coma, and then like kind of, and he like passed away. And so it was like it was a really difficult situation because I did technically blame myself for his death, because like having those 2 things really kind of like closely connected. And so quite often I'd find myself freestyle rapping about this, you know, and about like kind of, but using this kind of character that I created, where I'd be on stage in black and white face paint and a bottle of tomato ketchup, like kind of like, which I'd be like kind of somebody gurgling and like kind of trying to recreate, you know, like fake blood.
Wow, that sounds so intense, yet like I'd love to see it.
Yeah, because my whole thing was like I didn't want to make people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, they enjoyed the shows, the people who were there.
Oh yeah, you like, honestly, with me, I think art and music, like it's all part of the same like, creative, like, well, I don't know, landscape, whatever you want to call it. And it's like a lot of the time, I think you see bands just literally doing your standard
going through the motion sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's why I love it when, you know, I love it when you see artists that kind of are, you know, merging things, and they're sort of, like you said, they're like, they make you feel uncomfortable, or they're like, they're doing something. Because like I said, you see so many artists, and so do I, we do so much, that it's like a breath of fresh air, isn't it, when you're like, whoa, what was that? Like,
so last year, one of my favourite shows was Lingua Ignota. And she's amazing. I mean, like, she was phenomenal in Rough Trade in Bristol.
Yeah.
But that was definitely someone who's not easy listening, because she blends like kind of black metal and classical together.
Wow. Do you wear earplugs? Or are you like a no earplug kind of person?
I very rarely wear earplugs, but there's several shows which I did wear earplugs for last year for very good reason.
Oh really?
Yeah, one being Sun.
Oh my God! Yeah. Very.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like that. I mean, that show was amazing. So I had Anna von Halswolf supporting, who's an incredible Swedish artist.
Yeah.
And the other one being Lightning Bolt.
Oh my gosh, the 2-piece. I remember Lightning Bolt. Yeah, they are so loud.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, Sun were louder, but the thing is, with Lightning Bolt, it's the high-end frequencies.
Yeah.
It's like he plays with banjo strings on his bass.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so,
I've seen them. I think I saw
yeah.
them at ATP years ago.
They're a classic ATP band, which I've never actually went to ATP. But I think that's partly because back then I probably would have felt a lot more held back by my barriers.
Yeah, yeah.
Than probably I do now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, well, I think probably my all-time favourite show, apart from David Byrne at the Motor Point in Cardiff, which was phenomenal.
I'd love to have seen that, yeah.
I mean, like, I saw him on his last tour, and it was like, hello, here comes a lucid ballet for 2 hours. You're just like watching going, how the hell are you managing to do this? It's like so simple within the ideas, but so technical.
Yeah, but that was amazing.
But the show I was on about was possibly being my favourite is Le Savy Fab in the bar of the Hanson Rooms.
Yeah.
Now they're a phenomenal live band.
Yeah, I saw them at ATP as well, actually, many years ago, and I think he was in like singer was in like a pink lycra leotard or something. I remember, like, just in the crowd, like in there with them, like, I just thought it was brilliant.
I mean, the thing is, that I wasn't. I mean, I remember like at that point it was like I'd read about them a lot in Kerrang magazine. Because the one band they constantly gave 5Ks for their live show. This is when I used to treat Kerrang as a Bible, as like my Bible. Was Le Savy Fab. I remember reading some of the stories going, and I was like, they can't be that wild, can they? Oh fuck!
yeah.
I mean, like, I saw them. I mean, I saw him literally deliberately electrocute himself on stage by unscrewing and rescrewing a load of light bulbs, and like kind of it's like I tell kids stories and they go like, that didn't happen. It's like, yes, it did. I was there.
Yeah.
I mean, like, because also what I found is that if something moves me, then I was like store memory of it.
Yeah.
So if like, for instance, so I always remember like hearing the first time I heard someone do deep like throat vocals. And I remember saying like a guy called Yatka, and I just remember it being like the most metallic thing I've ever heard. There's also the fact that he was doing like that he was doing covers of like Motorhead and Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
But like doing like the Tevan throat singing. Yeah,
I've heard that as well, and it's it stays with you, doesn't it? You're just like yes.
Or like go and see Low, where you feel every single one of your emotions being drained out of you, and you kind of go like, I'm not going to cry during the set. 5 minutes into it, it's like I'm in absolute tears.
I'm a mess.
Yeah, but then it's also, it's like I've mentioned this. It's also like Anna Meredith as well, who's been one of the people I've been really lucky to have a chat with.
Yeah.
Now I think that she'd be shortlisted for the Mercuries, and rightfully so.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
I mean, but it's about like how artists can take people on those journeys.
Yeah.
And I very much see it as like you go to the shows, you're going into their world.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily paying to hear all the songs you necessarily want to hear.
Yeah, totally.
And so the perfect case was like, like kind of, like speaking of festivals, my first ever festival was Ashton Court in 1995 with Skunk Nancy headlining.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was when I was 12 years old.
Wow, that's.
But one of my earliest memories, because my first Glastonbury was David Bowie, 2000.
Yes, I was there. Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, but talk about also someone who did a brilliant set, but also without necessarily pandering to what everyone wanted to hear.
Yeah.
You're just like watching it going, this is freaking amazing. So like, it could have probably gone on for another 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I went to see him. I went to see his not him performing, the theatrical performance of Black Star as well. Black Star, sorry.
Oh, wow.
I went to Paul and I went up to the theatre. I can't remember where it was, and Paul's actually asleep on the sofa right now. I can't help myself, but look at this one here. Look.
Wait, hello, Sleepy.
Look at this guy, Paul.
I don't blame him, to be honest. Hey, Paul.
Oh Oh, bless him. I was saying when we went to see Black Star, that theatre performance.
Oh yeah, it was amazing.
Where was it? Do you remember?
It was like a temporary theatre in King's Cross. Somewhere in King's Cross,
but it was immense. We were just saying how good it was. Yeah, and yeah, I took Rosie actually. I talk about having a different kind of Glastonbury. I took she was like 4 or 5 years old, and we went to Glasgow, and she was in a pushchair. I just went on my own with her, and she was wrapped up in the pushchair, and I remember just watching him, just being like, "This is amazing!" But we were so far back, but I just had to go with her. So yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, no, I remember like I was 17 when that Bowie set was like kind of performed, and I was like within the first 10 rows.
Yeah, wow.
So I was watching it. So obviously, like when they screened it on the BBC, I was down with my parents because I had people building in my flat sort of thing at the time. But I remember watching it with my parents, and I could just literally feel a lump growing in my throat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because the other thing is, I found when I was digging through a few piles of papers and stuff in my old flat, I found I'd written a review of that Glastonbury for like the Horsley paper.
Yeah.
And so every single year I've done Glastonbury, I've always been litter picking.
Mm-hmm.
And so literally like kind of like a diary sort of thing.
Yeah.
But they took them. I think this is probably both of our naiveties. I think it took them. They didn't realise exactly how much I would probably come out with. Yeah, how much and how like. So people who send me to review stuff, sometimes A, it takes me a million years to get completed. And B, like I remember someone sending me to Standing Cooling, which is one of my favourite festivals.
Ah, cool. Yeah.
Not only did they realise that I probably would be reviewing everything that I'd see, like in exact precise detail. So they got like 7 pages worth of it.
Wow. Well, why not? I mean, you want to give like a full, rounded view of what you experienced. So
I mean, especially for a festival of that size, it was an incredible lineup that year.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been.
It's great.
Standing Calling. Been to Kendal.
Yeah, Standing Calling's, it's on the same weekend as Kendal Calling, but it's like it's a little bit more, I'd say, more diverse than Kendal Calling.
Okay.
In some of the lineup. I mean, like they're like the very first year I had when they had Sunday night headliners were Buena Vista Social Club.
Oh my gosh!
But,
I would love to see that.
Then they had like Efterklang playing just as the sun was setting before them, which was the perfect time for them. Then like, I mean, on that lineup it was ridiculous. I remember seeing Fucked Up.
Yeah.
And I remember because like Fucked Up played headlining a tent, and what was great is Damien being the big massive guy that he is, and slightly intimidating. There was like parents there with like 5-year-old kids on their shoulders, and he was like, "This is freaking amazing! I've got kids here." And he's literally got his head cut open from crushing the can against his skull, sort of thing. And he literally runs up to them with a massive grin and like starts high fiving all these kids, and you can just see these bewildered little looking kids just like going, "What the hell?"
Yeah, I bet it's with them. I bet some of them are now like, I remember when I was 5 years old and I was at a festival and this happened. And that's amazing. And like
I remember also like stuff like they had Etienne de Cracy there headlining on the main stage, and he was playing inside this massive cube, which was actually too big for the stage.
What? Oh wow! Yeah, sounds awesome.
I mean, I got so excited that weekend that I couldn't actually sleep because they had the entire site was done out like a murder mystery.
Wow.
So like theme. So everyone said like, when I say it was pretty insane, there was like the certain things which they got away with doing, which they probably couldn't do over the years, because the guy, Alex, who set it up, got sent to prison for 2 years for embezzlement.
What?
Because of like, basically, he had a really high-powered job with Tesco's, and that he got caught not taking the money out of the accounts, but putting the money back in.
Really? Oh my god!
Just his personal account to pay for the festival's debts. And then
say shit. That's bold, isn't it? That is a bold move. That's like,
Well, basically, it's all because it's his birthday. It's just like his birthday party, and it's
Wow.
like it's the poshest. It's one of the poshest festivals that I do because of
Really?
oh yeah, because of it's like when I say it's in his family land, it's on his family's personal estate.
Shit. Okay. Yeah. Some of those
And
festivals are like that, aren't they? I remember Secret Garden Party. I think that was on someone's land, wasn't it? That was like
but
some.
it's really great. It's like I remember seeing. I mean, that year I remember seeing who else do I remember playing there? I remember Liars playing. When
Hmm?
Liars, Metronomy,
Yeah.
British Sea Power were there.
Wow.
It was like all so many bands which I loved. I was
Yeah.
like, how could we do this? And then like you had like Giles Peterson DJing. You had like kind of just yeah. My brain couldn't calm down. My brain literally couldn't calm down the entire weekend. I remember Kate Tempest opening up like the main stage. You know, with Sound of Rum, because like people forget how long she's been going for.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I remember like, God, who else was there? There was definitely like these New Puritans played.
Really? That's
Um,
it.
yeah,
Live.
yeah, it was phenomenal for a 4,000 capacity festival.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about 20,000 capacity, but even like they had people like John Grant before he got too massive.
That's
They
really
had
cool.
people like I think it's partly 'cause what helps them is that they're only like about an hour's drive away from London,
Mm. Yeah.
so
For
they can
sure.
get so they can get. So I remember like I think it was on their 10th anniversary they had Grace Jones as one of the headliners, and she's a
Well,
phenomenal performer.
yeah. I've never seen her. I'd love to see Grace Jones.
It's crazy. She's crazy. It's
Yeah.
literally like how the hell she gets away with it because like she's pretty much naked on stage.
Amazing.
You're
Amazing.
watching it kind of go like, hey, her physique. But then it's also like it's it's also her humor because she's freaking hilarious. Like she's like because
Oh,
like
I know.
some of
Yeah.
the things that she'll say in between songs when she's backstage changing costumes. Like she'll come out with like a 10-inch strap on and she'll be like, "Hi, children, right, kids, you're gonna get a new experience." And be like, or like I remember like I was standing cooling, she was backstage. It's like, oh, I'm gonna play a new song now. I think this one sounds slightly Irish. I'd be like, really, Grace? Which part of it sounds which part of it sounds slightly Irish?
Cool.
And it's like, but it's that sort of thing where you do find yourself laughing with it because it
Yeah.
is all it's all part of the performance, you
I
know.
think I saw. I really enjoyed seeing Peaches. I saw her at the South Bank when she did some shows there last year, this year. I can't remember now. All the months blur, don't they? And she was amazing. I really enjoyed seeing Peaches. I thought she was, yeah, she was great.
I think
I,
she definitely takes some nods of Grace Jones as if been like.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
loads of people. I think actually loads of people really do.
yeah, yeah. It's really influential. And
I mean, also like the fact that she still does a 13-minute long version of like "Said a Slave to the Rhythm" whilst hula hooping throughout the entire song, and you watch it go like she's 71 years old.
that's. I didn't realise she was 71.
Yeah,
Fair play. Do you know what I mean?
maybe even older than that. I think she was 71 when she did. When she headlined Stand and Cooling, so that would be good
Yeah,
about 3 years ago.
that's brilliant. I think I hope I'm rocking that much when I'm in my
Even on,
50s.
I mean, even on that day, they had 4 potential headliners on the main stage, all
Yeah.
in a row, because they had her, they had Katie Tunstall, editors, and Gary Newman.
Wow. I used to love editors as well. Editors were great. Gary Newman played actually Guildford. Yeah. But editors, what happened to editors?
Uh,
What
um,
happened
I know that some of them went off and formed a side project with Rachel Goswell and with Stuart Braithwaite,
oh
who
shit.
did one record. I think partly that they all got kind of, I don't know. There's maybe certain things about them. I know that there was definitely issues with the singer, whether it's due to addiction issues or something like
Okay, yeah.
that. I don't know really, to be honest with you. I think that sometimes some of these artists for good or bad reasons, sometimes keep certain things secret.
Yeah.
I think if they decide to keep their personal lives personal, then that's completely fair enough.
Yeah, I agree. It's like there's a lot of people that vomit all of their fucking life on the internet.
I'm probably one of them, to be honest. I'm probably one of them, and I've made loads of naive mistakes because of doing that.
Yeah, but you know what? It's like, and that sounded really judgmental, and I didn't mean it to sound judgmental, because it's like, it's fine to do that. It's fine.
But
like,
I think, there's certain things which I haven't vomited out, but you know, but you know what I mean. Like, Sifin, I think we need to almost be prepared for naivety.
Yeah.
I think that creates, like, for me, acceptance and understanding. It's a bit like, you know, like sort of, like there's several things which happened. Like, I never thought that I'd end up in, you know, being on, you know, on some panel, you know, like talking about inclusion in venues, you know, with someone like Amy LeMay, who's actually a professional. That's like, I view myself as very much kind of amateur.
Oh, I think you're a professional. I think you are definitely a professional. And I actually, the reason I said that about people doing that is because I actually get overwhelmed with the amount of information online, and I have to like purposefully step back and just like I have to not have the socials on my phone, and I have to sort of allow myself a certain amount of time, because I get overwhelmed. It's too much sometimes, and
it's understandable. I mean, I found myself, you know, so I joined on Wednesday, but I think, was it Wednesday or Tuesday? I think it might be Tuesday, when they had the protests for the, you know, for the people who work at the live events industry.
Yeah, we make events.
Because obviously I'm friends with like loads of sound engineers and stage techs and what have you. So I thought, right, I'd turn up to the Bristol one and like kind of participate, because
that's brilliant. Yeah, we had the Boileroom in red, so we did that. Yeah.
I remember like speaking to a couple of my people, like people which I'm quite good friends with, but it was really weird because like I've definitely felt like sipping, like a lot of the social boundaries inside my head have been like rebuilt up again. So it's like learning how to be safe around people again. Yeah,
of course. That's really understandable, considering everything that we've been through, and we have a pandemic on top of that. That's gonna make you way more wary, isn't it? You know, it makes people wary because of all those considerations that we've just got to be aware of now, right?
And the other thing is that I found, so we stumbled across also a band playing in the street, and it was great. It was a great show that they were playing, like just mostly jamming, but it did make me feel very almost fearful of people.
Yeah.
Maybe not like, I don't mean this in like a kind of judgmental way, because like one of the things I miss the most is hugs. You know, actually the actual, you know, kind of like physical contact without actually being, but not in a threatening way.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, I'm an extreme. Well, you probably know me that I'm an extremely huggable person, and
yeah.
So for me, I went for 3 months almost without a hug.
Oh my god. Oh, my heart is breaking for you.
But then also at the same time, you had all the stuff with the Black Lives Matter protests, which especially in Bristol, that was really big.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a really weird situation where I'm not quite sure how to put it into words without making me sound too big-headed. But it was like, because they had the big protest where they removed the statue of Edward Colston, who's a very well-known slave trade owner.
Yeah,
and they dumped him in the river. No, it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I didn't actually see the statue coming down because I was actually talking to like one of the AF gang members. Not that I knew who he actually was, just the fact they started the conversation with me. Because we're like, right, okay, you know, there's like kind of coping strategy. Next thing I hear, massive cheer. Not knowing what it was until afterwards. But then seeing all the news stuff, the fact that they managed to remove the statue, and it's like, wow, okay, that's really quite powerful. And I did see people giving speeches and poses above the plinth without realising what it was. But within a couple of hours, I'd had people like started to tweet me and like started to put polls up to suggest replacing the statue of Edward Colston with a statue of me.
Yeah.
I was like, no. I was like, no. Because I personally felt, I mean, this is like what I personally felt, that it would have done the Black Lives Matter protest a bit of an injustice to see the statue of a rich, privileged white guy be replaced by another statue of a white, privileged guy.
Yeah,
you know?
I understand that. I empathise with your viewpoint on that. I also see as well that how you are, what you represent as well within your scene in that area, that you are figurehead for all the great things that you do and for how inspiring you are to a lot of people as well. So I think it's I hope you felt really good about the fact that people wanted to do that for you. I think that's a really.
But I think there's also that in the moment I was like, no, not the right time, you know.
Agreed.
Maybe in about 20 years' time, maybe, you know, I'd probably think differently. But then, like, also there was a petition to change the Colston Hall's name to my name, which was already process of changing its name anyway. But and I was like, no, because I guess it's like that weird thing of like having the pressure being put on someone like myself, you know, like in a weird way of having like the spotlight going all of a sudden going, right, you're it. It's like, no.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it's a lot to take on. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot to have that put on you.
I think especially if it's not, you know, like created by myself, for instance. Mm-hmm. So if it's something someone's done without my permission, is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a vulnerability which many people would feel.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, I agree with you. I think you're right. I think it's something that has it is meant well, you know, it's meant well. It's a really lovely sentiment, isn't it? It's a really kind thing for people to want to do, to represent you and to appreciate what you do. You're
not actually
right though.
I do take that on board, so I'm not actually angry with the people whenever I write my statuses. I'm just like, I feel really flattered, but this is how it makes me feel. And then it's like kind of like I had an incident with the whole BBC Six Festival in Bristol sort of thing, where there's a whole petition which had loads of people signing it to like try and get me a free ticket for everything. It's like, do I want to go to see everything? Not entirely, but you know what I mean. It's like I felt it was like kind of taken out of my hands in a weird way.
Yeah. I think, like you said, people who mean well can sometimes maybe get a bit lost in that feeling without necessarily, you know, understanding what the, you know, what the consequences are of their actions. You know, I did think it was really cool that everyone did the crowdfunding for South by Southwest.
Yeah, I was really flattered by that. I mean, there have been a few things which I've done where I've gone like, oh my fuck, we managed to do this. So it's like kind of like when I did the Vice article, the Vice interview, which went absolutely insane. Because of like, I'll tell you the weird thing. It's actually the first interview I did for Vice wasn't with the English Vice.
Oh really?
The first time I went out to Primavera, there was a couple of Spanish media students who are based in Bristol. He knew someone who wrote for the Spanish version of Vice magazine. So I had to do this really awkward phone interview, like, with him in his half-broken English. Kind of like me in my kind of like scuddy house, because I was about to go out to my first ever time to Spain, to Barcelona for Primavera Sound.
Yeah.
I think this was 2012.
Yeah.
And I remember that year because I remember that my friend Robin Allender was playing in Jan Tierson's backing band. And Jan Tierson was playing this huge closing party show in the middle of a thunderstorm. And what really helped him, because he's a guitarist, was that I was on the barrier So we're both smiling at each other, you know, like kind of me with my brolics and massive thunderstorm sort of thing, and him just like grinning at each other. So I was taking the stress and tension away from him.
Yeah.
I know, sorry if that's like a bit rubbishy, but then then what happened with the one that Hugh Oliver did, and who's like a journalist for Vice at the time, was that I remember it was like a 3-hour long kind of phone conversation that we had, you know, that he was like taking notes from. But that got published the day after I literally got back from one of the Primavera Sound festivals.
Oh my God.
So it's like, so if you could see it as this, because also that year I bumped into one of the main organisers for Primavera, and he was like, right, if you want to come next year, just drop me an email. So of course, if someone like sets me up an open goal like that, then of course that's going to happen. You know, what's going to happen? You know, come on, I'm like a kid in a candy shop. You know.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if someone said to me, like, if I met the organiser, I've never been to Primavera. I'd love to go. Have you ever been?
No, I haven't been.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's the biggest and nerdiest music festival in the world, probably. I mean, like, it's like, as if in the lineup is the most ridiculously diverse, because you'll have everything from like pop acts like Charlie Rae Jepsen through to like stuff like Yves Tumor, Low, black metal bands like Sun, and like kind of Mogwai play there nearly every year or every so often. I remember like kind of crash landing back from one Primavera Sound. So it's like I kind of crash landed back into the country and crashed the internet in about 24 hours. That whole like kind of Vice article just went absolutely insane. I mean, I almost went into 24 hours of hiding because it's like, oh look, every second there's like 600 Facebook updates. You know, 2,000 tweets.
Oh my God, that's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, but what was even more insane is it's getting reprinted in Spanish, in Italian, in you know around the world.
Yeah,
which is
you're kind of a big deal.
Don't really like to think of it like that.
We got snacks now.
I think the most important thing is, well, I'll try and keep myself as grounded as possible. I think.
Well,
that's the reason I've got like have my parents, because they'll lovingly stick a whoopee, like the pin into the whoopee cushion. But then sometimes you need that, but you need people who give you grounding, and you need people also like I need for me, like I need like sometimes if I've overstepped the line ever, like I need someone to talk, like sometimes tell me off or put me straight slightly.
It's like having an accountability partner.
Yeah.
It's like someone that just holds you to account for some stuff sometimes. And I have friends like that who help me do things. Sometimes when I say I'm going to do something and then I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to go now.
I'm too scared.
Yeah, I'm too scared. And they'll be like, come on, you can do it. And I'm lots of friends, accountability partners. You know, it's like having a hype person, isn't it? Someone to like be like, you can do it. You got this. You got this.
Yeah. It's like I wouldn't be involved with several things if my parents didn't kick me out the door. Literally, if my parents didn't, put the pick the boot up the backside, would I go to Glastonbury? No, because I'd probably be too scared to. Whereas, like when like, for instance, I ended up doing some of the stuff which I've done with the art groups because of like my parents just giving me like the gentle elbow in the back sort of thing, or like the prod, like. And no, I wouldn't.
Do they love music as well, as much as you do?
Not as much as I do, but I think they very much acknowledge that I've got an obsession with it. I mean, the fact that they used to have to leave me in record shops for like 2 or 3 hours.
Oh yeah, I have to do that with him. I have to do that with him.
Well, I remember like kind of like sometimes I'd like, especially when I was like late teens, early 20s, I'd be like so procrastinating so much, and I have to like kind of evaluate the prices of different records in different shops, and I'm kind of going like, sometimes I'd do like strategic kind of buying, shall we say?
Oh really?
Yeah. So it'd be like my parents would like send me out with money to go and get like a new like stationery or a new pen or something for the school, and so like I could go out to like WH Smith and be like, "How can I get this pen for like so much? I want to go with this much money left. Let's go and see what I can buy." You know, like quite often you can get like a record for like a five, like an album for like £5 sort of thing, like especially on cassette.
Yeah.
When cassettes were all the rage.
Yeah.
So I quite often, in that way, I would work out doing mathematics.
That's very shrewd of you. Very shrewd.
But it's also honest, because I would literally like spend sometimes 5-6 hours just obsessing.
Well, the thing is, once you start, you're like, I've got to get to the end because I've got to see everything that's in the shop. You can't just like, you can't do one row because you're like, well, one's the thing that could be right in the next row, so I have to look in that row too, and then that one, and then I have to see all of them.
Also with listing posts as well.
Oh really?
Yeah, because you have to have multiple shortlists.
Like, yeah.
It could
I'm the same. I mean, like I literally have like, I remember like to be like procrastinating over which like I could get like this record for XYZ amount of money sort of thing. Yeah. Or I could blow it all on this one album, but yada yada. You can work things out that way.
Yeah, you do. It's a fun process.
Yeah,
digging.
Be nice to go back to record shops, right?
It would be.
I think they're open. I saw one of the ones in town was open now. So
I've been in quite a few times, bought a few things from record shops already. So I've bought like in Plymouth, like when I was down here like about a month or so ago, I remember like just like randomly going and pick up loads of random things from like from one of the record shops in the centre of town, or like Rough Trade in Bristol's open. I brought a few things from there, like the Beth's new record, because I think that there's still great albums coming out.
Yeah, there are.
I mean, the most recent one I bought is Billy No Mate's album.
Yeah,
she's superb.
Wasn't that one of the people that you spoke to on your big chats?
No, I haven't done her yet, but I will be.
Yeah,
I might well be.
It was IVW. I think it was the IVW chat thing. I saw.
Yeah, she did one with Jason, who's like, because she's managed by his wife.
Okay.
Claire Williamson, yeah. But yeah, that record is amazing. It's such a good album. I think it's partly that I tend to find that if I like the artist as a person or admire them as a person, then I'm much more susceptible to liking their work.
Yeah.
I've also, like, yesterday I heard John Newton's releasing a solo record as well.
Oh really?
And John, and it's absolutely brilliant.
Is it? Oh.
I like that. Thumbs up.
It's called Total Wickets. I mean, I was listening to it on the train down yesterday, and it's like it's kind of like more industrial post-punk.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of got a little bit of a girl bandy vibe to it.
Yeah.
It's definitely like kind of a little bit of a more interesting departure from the stuff that he does with the other John.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love both projects anyway. Well, as you know.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to hear that. We should listen to that.
Yeah. Is that out?
Well, it's coming. Well, it's already streaming on Bandcamp.
Oh, cool.
So he's put it up for like pre-orders, like so you can like hear the whole record sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, it's definitely worth a gander. But yeah. Anyway, I think is it right to call it legs? I think we've got to have dinner.
Yeah, God, we've been chatting for a long time, so
that's the usual. To be honest, I think that's the way things usually are with me. I think the longest one, which we actually had to end up re-recording, was Kate Stables.
Really?
From Mr. the Kid. You know, the combined times that we could put both of them together. Cause the first time we chatted was like 3 hours. You know, but then like we realised that it wasn't recording.
Oh no!
And then like, so we had to re-record it. That's still another 2 hours, but then that's because of like I've known her for quite a while, because obviously her Bristol connection is really strong.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, love it.
You know, like, and also like she used to, well, obviously we're friends with Joff as well. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, any chance to mention Joff? It's like, yep. and he tries to pick him up, and he's the world's most self-depreciating person.
No.
He's like one of those kind of characters which you do literally warm to.
Yeah.
It kind of comes across in his books, his graphic novels, really.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been really lovely chatting to you, and thank you for chatting. You know, thanks for inviting me along. It's been great, and hopefully we'll see you at a show. Like you'll be able to come to a show, or we'll see.
I'd love to come back to the Boileroom and stuff, because like, especially when I used to study in Guildford, there was nothing there.
Yeah.
You know, but the other funny fact is I was at the Academy of Contemporary Popular Music with Mark, who's the manager of Idols.
Oh my gosh, because he live up the road.
We were both in the same drum group.
Oh,
amazing.
Yeah, gosh. Well, that's how I think. Did I meet him through ACM? I can't remember. But yeah, he lived just literally around the corner from the venue. So and that's how obviously Paul got involved with Idols. Was because you did all the pre-production, didn't you? Was it the first record?
EPs,
the Meat EP. The Meat EPs were all.
That's when they became good. It's around that point. That's when they became good. It's around the Meat EP.
Yeah.
I think that's when I think that's generally when I went from meh to like, actually this is quite good.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to ride on these coattails.
Love it.
He's got some stories of me, because one of my favourite sessions was the live performance workshop.
Yeah, I remember.
Which I like to try and upstage everybody. And basically by turning up in ridiculous fancy dress costumes.
Brilliant.
Or like, there's one performance where I nearly actually got banned from ever attending the lesson again.
Really? What did you do?
I decided that I wasn't good enough to play drums for Killing in the Name of, so I decided to do the vocals. I decided to give like the vocal, like the singers a vocal lesson, which I'll never forget. It basically involved me headbutting the mic loads of times. Me like kind of like trying to like inhibit my inner Iggy Pop.
Yeah, I love it.
And, like kind of like, I remember that like kind of, because they were doing it in like the Electric Theatre, so I was like trying to crowd surf over the seats, and like kind of what else did I try and do? I remember I tried to sort of like kick into the drum kit and like kind of, you know, like kind of basically I kind of semi-terrified everyone, almost slightly semi. I mean, like they finished, because that was like the last performance, so like they finished the session and like they opened up the doors, which they kind of locked, and you can see black smoke kind of like I think coming out of people.
Brilliant.
So,
I tell you, I bet
all the cheats were like, "What the fuck? We need to go and have a really strong drink after that."
But it was a breath of fresh air. From what I've heard, those live performance things could be a really dry, you know, the whole day spent just hearing the same song over and over again. So it sounds like you just like changed it up a gear.
Well, yeah, of course. Come on, I was like, come on, I'm an eccentric person. When
Exactly.
I did like Marilyn Manson with like kind of ridiculous face paint on, walked all the way throughout Guildford, like literally like all day with like this kind of really horrible cheap face paint, which I painted crosses all over my face. And I had like fake blood capsules, which I was going to try and spit out over people.
Would have been great. I tell you, we would have booked you at the Boileroom if we'd been around then. We would have been like, yes, come and play at the venue.
I'll definitely. Well, if I might bring out like, so I know it's going to sound ridiculous, but I'm trying to start. So I'm doing another film with Joff, and it's going to be like a short musical.
Amazing.
Kind of based around some of the things which I've been through.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm going to try and hopefully at some point do is bring back Manicare.
Oh, brilliant. The ketchup bottle.
Yeah. Exactly. In the black and white face paint and the boiler suit.
Yes.
Just to scare people.
that would be.
I want to find out how much. I want to find out, like, kind of, obviously from my techie friends, how to get loads of sub bass.
This guy.
I can help you with that.
This guy, he can help you with that. You know, he can help you with that.
I can help you with the rumble.
I can believe that, Paul. I can believe that.
You should come down. You should come down and hang out in the studio.
Yeah, definitely. We'll try and.
Yeah, come to the studio and then you can talk about synths until you have no more to say on them.
Hey, so that's a bad thing.
And you can do whatever you know, all that stuff.
I'll have to get Steve Davis involved.
Yeah, oh my God.
You know, he's a synth wizard. He literally is a synth wizard.
Can you get him in your graphic novel?
Yeah.
Just like Steve Davis.
Yeah, I've got to do a stop motion musical.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Well, look, I was going to say, if you got your dinner, I don't want it to go cold or anything.
Of course.
You know.
Yeah. But no, lovely to see you, Dom. Lovely to see you, people. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, look after yourself. Have a smashing weekend. Like, enjoy trip out tomorrow and
enjoy
stuff.
your holiday, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm reminded of being like 5-6 years old.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, buddy. Take care.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.